Hi guys, and welcome to today's reading session. Today we're going to be finishing a book that we read a few weeks ago, my last session. It's called Lion on the Loose. So I'll just do a little bit of a recap for anyone who's maybe forgotten what it's about and what happened in the last bit of the book. So basically, it's a story about a lion in a zoo and a story about how the lion escapes from the zoo and he leaves his cage and he gets out of the zoo and he gets into the real world, so he escapes. Um, and he does this when it's raining and he manages to swim out of his cage to get out. So yeah, we read about half the book last time, so we'll read the second half this week. And as always, I've got some questions for us at the end just to make sure everyone understands as well. So we're starting this week on page number 15. So if everyone can have the book next to them, the book's on the Facebook page, should have been emailed out, all that. So if you should have the book in front of you, and we'll start reading. So page 15. And the lion went on. This was the longest walk that he'd ever had. He was in the bazaar now, but of course everyone was fast asleep. He peered into shop windows, fascinated by the glittering things that shone there. And the next page. He walked on and on and on, until he was one very wet, hungry and tired lion. He now suddenly caught the smell of yummy fried pagodas. He had never smelled anything so invitingly warm or warmly inviting. Sniff, sniff, sniff. He found the window to Geetie and Vicky's room open. Quickly, quietly, he jumped right in. He saw the children asleep in their soft, warm beds, and he felt like getting in with them. But first to find out where that delicious smell was coming from. Sniff, sniff, sniff. Okay, so we'll just go over the other page first, so page 15. So if you remember, the lion's walking out of the zoo and it says, and the lion went on. So he keeps walking, he's walked a really long way, he's walked very far. The longest walk that he's ever done, so the longest walk he's ever been on. And he was in the bazaar now. So a bazaar is like shops. So he was going to lots of different shops, but they were empty. There was no one there because everyone else was asleep because it's nighttime. It says he peered into shop windows. So he looks into shop windows, he's looking into the shops, and he's fascinated by the glittering things. So if you're fascinated, he's really interested. So he's looking at them, yeah? He's looking at the glittering things. So if they're glittering, they're shiny, they're like diamonds and jewelry. And he's really interested in all the shiny things in the shop window, all the sparkly things. And the next page, so the lion is walking on and on. He's keeping on walking for a really long time until he's one wet, hungry, and tired lion. So he was wet from the rain. So it's been raining down on him, so he's all wet. He's hungry, he hasn't eaten, and he's tired. He's sleepy because he's been walking a long time. And then suddenly he smells something. So he's smelling something and he smells some fried pagodas. They smell yummy, they smell really good. And these, if you remember, like an Indian snack. So they're fried and they're really nice. And he had never smelled anything so invitingly warm. So they smell really warm and he's so hungry and he really, really wants to eat them. And we know that he's smelling them because he says sniff, sniff, sniff. So he's smelling them with his big nose. And then he finds a window to Geetie and Vicky's room and it's open. So remember from the first half of the book, Geetie and Vicky are the children that were worried about all the animals when it was raining. So they were thinking about what happens to the animals when it's raining. And so they've left their window to their bedroom open. And what happens is the lion jumps in the window. So he gets into their room through the window and he sees Vicky and Geety asleep in their beds and he wants to get in with them. He's so tired, he wants to get in a nice comfy bed. But first of all, what he wants to do before that, he wants to find out what the smell is. So he smelt such a nice smell, he's so hungry, he wants to find out where it's coming from. And he sniffs, sniffs, sniffs again. Okay, that's those 2 pages. Let's do the next 2. Of course, with his sharp lion's nose, he found the pagodas, and with his sharp lion's teeth, he quickly chomped them up. They were delicious, not like the smelly raw meat he got. He loved the crispy pagodas. He licked the plate clean. And the next page. And now to bed. Slipping back into the children's room, Lion tried to get into Vicky's bed, but it was too small for one big lion. Then he tried snuggling into Geety's bed, but it was too small for one big lion. So he crawled under the bed and found it wonderfully cozy and just right for one big lion. Soon he was fast asleep. Okay, so on the first page, we see the lion. He finds the pagoda, so he finds where the smell's coming from. And it's because lions have such good noses, a really good sense of smell. So we could tell exactly where it was, so we found the pagodas. And it says, yeah, a sharp lion's nose, so he's really good at smelling. And he's also got sharp lion teeth, and he quickly chomped them up, so he ate them really quickly. He ate the pagodas really quick. And they were delicious. They were really good. And they're saying they're delicious, not like the smelly raw meat he got. So if you're at the zoo, lions at the zoo are usually fed big bits of meat that are just raw. They're not cooked. So these were really nice for him. And he loved the crispy pagodas and he licked the plate clean. So the plate the pagodas were on, he licked it clean because they were that nice. And you can see in the picture, he's got his big tongue out. And the next page. And then the lion's so tired, he has to go to bed. So he slips into the children's room, so really quietly slips in. And first, the lion tries to get in Vicky's bed, but it's too small and he's too big. Then he tried snuggling into Geety's bed, so snuggling in right next to him, but it was too small for one big lion. And so he goes under their bed, and it's perfect size. So it's nice and cozy and it's just right for one big lion. So it's a good size for him. And soon he was fast asleep. So he's fallen asleep under Vicky and Geety's bed. Okay. I've got some questions about these few pages, so I'll do those and then we'll finish it off. Okay. So I'll ask the question and then you can pause the video and have a look through the book, and there's no rush for the answers. Okay. Question 1. Where did the lion go first? So when he left the zoo, where did the lion go to first? Question 2. Why did the lion go into Vicky and Geety's house? Why did the lion go into Vicky and Geety's house? And the last one, where did the lion fall asleep? Where did the lion go to sleep? Okay, so I'll go through the answers for these. So the first question, where did the lion go first? So if we remember on page 15, the lion goes to the bazaar. He goes to the shops and he's looking in the shop windows and he's looking at all the shiny diamonds and things they have in there. So he goes to the shops, the bazaar first. And the second question, why did the lion go into Vicky and Geety's house? So he goes into Vicky and Geety's house. Well, two things. So he smells pakodas, so he smells the yummy fried pakodas, page 16 this is. He smells the food and it smells so nice, he wants to go inside. And then when he gets there, the window's open to their bedroom so he can climb right in. So that's why, because he smells the food and the window was open. That's why he goes into the house. And number 3, where did the lion go to sleep? Well, the lion falls asleep. If we remember page 18, he tries to get in Vicky's bed and it's too small. He tries to get in Geety's bed and it's too small again. So he crawls under their bed and he sleeps right under it. So where did the lion fall asleep? He fell asleep under Vicky and Geety's bed. Okay, that's all the questions that we have. So we'll just finish the book now and we'll see what happens in the end of the story. Okay, so we're page 19 now. Next morning, Mummy woke up to find the pakodas missing. Vicky, Geety, did you eat all the pakodas last night? No, Mummy, not at all, the children said. It must have been you who ate them. Don't lie to me, children. Who else could it be? Oh, it must have been the lion who ate them, Mamma. Lion? What lion? Geety, don't be silly. She's not being silly, said Vicky. There's a lion under our bed. What? Shouted Mummy as loud as she could, and she rushed right away to look for the lion under her children's bed. She looked, but there was no lion there. Oh, children, she said crossly, you gave me a fright. Of course there's no lion there. Okay, page 19. So the next morning they wake up and the pakodas are missing. So the pakodas that the lion ate, they're not there anymore. And Mummy asks the children, did you eat the pakodas last night? And Vicky and Geety say, no, they didn't. They say it must have been the lion who ate them. But we see on the next page that their mum does not believe them, thinks they're being silly, thinks they're joking. But the children tell her that there's a lion under their bed. And so their mum runs to the bedroom and she goes to look for the lion, but it's not there, it's not under the bed. And she says crossly, you gave me a fright. So the children scared her because she thought there was a lion there, but there's no lion there. Okay, 21. But there was, Mummy, protested the children. Look, there are lion paw prints on the carpet and a big wet patch on our beds and lion hair on my sheet. Mummy had to believe them then, but try as they might, they couldn't find the lion anywhere. And do you know why? Lion had a good snooze and had decided to get back to his cage before there was any fuss. Okay, so the children are trying to prove that the lion was there. They're trying to show that the lion was there. So they say, Mummy, look, they protested. So they're arguing against her. They're telling her that she's wrong because there are paw prints. So you can see in the picture on page 21, you can see that there's paw prints and there's footprints from the lion where it's walked across the carpet. And there's a big wet patch on the bed. And there's lion hair. So you can see in the picture there's hairs on the sheet. So there must have been a lion there. And then Mummy had to believe them. So she believed there was a lion there. But they couldn't find the lion everywhere. They looked and they couldn't find him. And the person writing the book asks us, says, do you know why? And it's because the lion had had a sleep. He'd had a nice snooze, so a sleep, and had decided to get back to his cage before there was any fuss. So he'd gone to sleep and he thought, I'm going to go back home. So he went back to the zoo, back to his cage, before anyone came after him, before anyone looked at him. Okay, next page, 23. So he slipped away at dawn and no one saw him going. except the same little boy in a blanket who had seen him earlier. The little boy patted Lion's nose and thought, "Grown-ups never believe us children, so I'm not going to tell anyone that the lion was taking a walk tonight." The old lion slipped past the guard, who still lay asleep, and swam back into his cage. What an adventure it had been, but he was glad to be home. As soon as the rain stopped, Geety and Vicky went to the zoo. They stood outside Lion's enclosure and whispered to each other. I'm sure that our lion recognized them too, for he let out a big rumbling roar of thanks to his little friends. Okay, and that's the end of the story there. So I'll just go over that bit and then we've got some last questions. Okay, so page 23 this is. So the lion slips away at dawn. So he left really early in the morning. So he went out of the house really early so no one saw him leave. And the only person who saw him leave was the same little boy who had seen him when he left the zoo the first time. So if you remember from the first half of the book, the lion left the zoo and one little boy saw him and his dad didn't see him. So the one little boy saw him and he pats the lion's nose, so he strokes him, and he thinks that when you tell adults, grown-ups, so there's children and adults, so when children tell adults that they saw the lion, they won't believe them, so he thinks he's not going to tell any adults that he saw the lion. So it's his little secret. And then page 24. So the lion slips past the guard who's still asleep. So he goes past very quietly and he swims back into his cage. So he gets in the water and he swims back in. And he thinks, what an adventure it had been. So how exciting and fun had that been. But he was happy to be home. And says, as soon as the rain stopped, so when it was sunny and it stopped raining, Geety and Vicky went to the zoo. And they stand outside the lion's enclosure and whisper to each other. So they go to the zoo to see if the lion's there because they don't know where he's gone. And then on page 25, and we know that the lion recognizes them. So he knows that he saw them last night. He knows that they're his friends. He lets out a big rumbling roar. So when lions roar, he did it really loudly to say thank you to his little friends. So that's the end of the story. Quite a nice little book, I think. So there's 4 questions and then that's the end for this one. Okay, question 1. Who did Mummy think had eaten all the pagodas? Who did Mummy think had eaten all the pagodas? This is page 19 if you want to have a look back as well. Okay, and the second one, why couldn't they find the lion? So where had the lion gone in the morning? Why wasn't he in the bedroom anymore? Question 3. Who did the lion see on the way back to his cage? Who did he see on his way home? And number 4, how did Vicky and Geety know that the lion recognized them? So how did they know that he knew them, he'd seen them before? Okay, question 1. Who did Mummy think had eaten all the pagodas? So on page 19, Vicky and Mummy says, Vicky and Geety, did you eat all the pagodas last night? So instead of the lion, Mummy thinks it was Vicky and Geety, the children, who ate the pagodas. But we know that it was the lion, don't we? And question 2, why couldn't they find the lion? So why wasn't he in the bedroom? And if we see on page 22, So the lion had had a good snooze, he's had a good sleep, and he had decided to go back home. So he's gone back to his cage, he's gone back home, so that's why they couldn't find him in the morning. Number 3, who did the lion see on his way back to his cage? And this is page 23. So if you remember from the first half of the book, the lion leaves the zoo and he's seen by this one little boy, and that same little boy sees him when he goes home. So it's the same little boy as he saw in the first half of the story. And the last question, how did Vicky and Geety know the lion recognised them? So how did they know he'd seen them before? It's because he gave them a big roar to say thank you for the pagodas and for letting him have a nice place to sleep. And if we look on the next page, actually, I haven't read this bit, but it's actually this is based on a true story. So this actually happened. So I think it's a place in India. So a lion really did swim out of its enclosure. So it really happened. So it's quite it's a true story almost. I don't think he went into people's houses, but he definitely went out of his enclosure. So yeah, quite a nice little story there. I hope you're all doing well, guys, and keeping safe and everything. Thanks for watching this week, and I'll see you in 3 weeks when it's my turn again. Thank you. Bye.